Is real estate, and particularly your house, a great investment for you? So, just in case you have that burning question, what is the growth in housing prices in the top 10 cities in the US? So they pulled this data from Zillow. So the question is, for a lot of people, is your house, a person's house is typically their biggest dollar investment, okay? So they say, well, I'm buying this house as an investment. Okay, that's fine, and I understand it. You can do things in a house that you can't do in an apartment. You can paint it any color you want. You can have pets. You can have all sorts of stuff in your house that you couldn't have in an apartment. And a house, real estate, can be a stable way to build wealth over time. So generally speaking, and this is my experience, again, data point of 1 year, real estate in general goes up about 2% a year. Okay. Now that's very zip code specific. So you can look at a zip code in Silicon Valley, and that might have gone up 30% in a year, or a hot market in Miami, or Austin, Texas, or wherever. You can get very specific pockets of real estate that just jump dramatically higher and even fall as dramatically than 2%. So 2% though is kind of what I consider a ballpark number. And I have some real estate investments, and that's kind of what they do. So, and this is what they found. In the United States over the past year, August 2023 to August 2024, real estate went up about 3%. Now, I don't know what that means. Okay, is it houses? Is it land? Is it whatever? But this is what they pulled up. And what jumped out in particular was some things like New York, LA, and Chicago. And Chicago, I'm very familiar with. I lived in Chicago for over 20 years. Owned some property in Chicago. I know the Chicago market fairly well. 6% is pretty high. And the reason why I would take some of this data with a little bit of skepticism is that I know Chicago, Illinois has been losing population for years now. People have been emigrating out of Illinois for other states. That is also true for Chicago. Maybe not as dramatically as the rest of the state, but Chicago has been losing population. I think the way to think about it is there's just enough birth, and I think the birth rate is high enough to maintain it, but people are leaving Chicago. So who's coming in and driving up these prices up 6% in the city? I don't know. It might be because 2022 to 23 was weak, and this is bouncing back. The same is true for New York. I know New York was getting pummeled, particularly the commercial real estate. And commercial real estate in Chicago too has been pummeled. So are these numbers accurate? Well, they're accurate in as much as Zillow has reported them, and Zillow knows the data it's looking at. And again, it's zip code specific, and Chicago is a city of neighborhoods. This is a dozen different neighborhoods, each with its own particular flavor of real estate. So some can go up a lot more than others. Some are more active than others. And so this may, the Chicago number, and the same is true of New York and LA. There may be pockets that went up a lot more than others, and that may be why you're seeing this stuff. Anyway, is this meaningful? Is this something you should say, well, my house in Boston went up 7%, therefore I made 7% return on my house? I wouldn't say that. Like I said, it is zip code and neighborhood specific and house specific. And if you're not hitting all those major points, the 7%, you may be up 1%. You don't know. You don't know until you actually try to sell your house. That's why, yes, I understand the appeal of owning a house. I get it. And I have other real estate, but I get it. And they're generating rents, and that's another revenue stream for me. But trading is way more liquid than real estate. Trading options is way more liquid than real estate. You can also define your risk better than real estate. And we're going to talk about a couple of defined risk trades here. So yes, saving up money for a down payment on a house, great idea, excellent, go buy your house. But soon after, start saving up to fund a trading account. Get that couple of $1,000s in your trading account and start trading. That is going to teach you more about money and the market and managing money and finances than your house will. Okay, so because traders age in dog years. Okay, one expiration for an option trader is like 2 years in any other job. So that's my point. So the faster you get to start trading, the better. Let's take a look at a couple of trade ideas the guys are looking at. So metals have been on a run recently with copper futures up nearly 3% today. This was a couple days ago. What happened was China really had some big stimulus package they announced. Who knows whether it's real or not. And the idea that China is one of the biggest copper consumers in the world. And FCX, Freeport-McMoRan, is one of the biggest copper producers. The guys looked at selling a strangle in there. Let's take a look at FCX. FCX has earnings are coming out October 17th and has a nice run up. Massive rally here. If you wanted to, let's take a look at the skew. So it's trading right in around, let's say 52. So here's the way I look at this. So if I go down 3 points. Market's closed right now, so the data's a little screwy. Let's look at the 36-day options, see if they're a little better. Yeah, a little bit better. So stock's trading at about 52. I go down 3 points, and the option's about $1.30 or so. Up 3 points to the 55s, it's about $1.40. So right now there is skew to the upside. So the market anticipates more rallies, stronger performance in FCX. If you're willing to take risk through earnings, you could consider selling a put in here. Again, a $52 stock. If I sold the 47 puts, it only requires $551 of capital. Max profit 70%, theta of 248. Max risk if the stock goes to zero is $4,600. But there's a 90% probability of making half its max profit or $35 before expiration. So that's something if you were bullish on FCX. I know the guys were looking to strangle, but I'm not sure if you want to sell a call going into this. The second trade that they were looking at is a Visa Iron Condor, $277 stock, so it's more expensive. Visa has been a news-driven trade recently with antitrust lawsuits raised by the Justice Department. It's traded between $260 and $290 for the better part of 2024. Currently sits in the middle. So let's take a look at that and what they're talking about. Visa has decent liquidity. It's sold off pretty sharply over these past couple of days, but as the guys were saying, it's right in the middle of where it's been. They were looking at an Iron Condor. Earnings are coming out on October 22nd. So you have to be willing to take risk through earnings if you're going to look at this trade. They are looking at the October, the 250, 260 put spread and the 295, 305. Sell the 260s, buy the 250s. And so that's what they're doing right now. The put spread after the market sold off, it's a lot closer on the put side. I would consider pulling this down just a bit. Let's go down to these strikes, see what we get, and then pull this down here, 285, 295. To adjust the strikes, it's still the same idea, just incorporating the sell-off in the stock. Again, 54% IV rank means its options are relatively rich. And the reason I might consider an Iron Condor in a stock like Verizon, $271, is that naked options have really high margin requirements. If I just went in and sold the 240 put and the 285 call, margin requirement is $4,000. Yikes, that's pretty steep. So if I go in and turn this into an Iron Condor, I'm getting about a third of the width of the strikes on this trade, getting $3 credit for a 10-point Iron Condor, 10 points between the strikes. That gives me about 30% of the strike width. That's a good target. Buying power effect. Remember the short strangle at about $4,000 mark. This has 688. Still a little rich. Okay, it's a little steep. Max profit's 312. Max loss is 688. 74% probability of earning half that, or about $150 before expiration. Generates about $3.80 of theta. Not a bad trade if you are willing to trade through earnings. That's the decision here. If you want to get these cherry picks delivered to your inbox every week and my daily cherry bombs every day, click on the link below.